Okay, so in chapter 5, the topic is market, and in this chapter, we will learn the concept of market, the method of development of market, in which method the market is developed, the characteristics of a perfect competitive market, the types of market system. There are several market system, and we will know about their types, the reasons for the change in the price of goods and their influence. When there is change in price of goods, what happens in the market system? And the market chart type on the basis of competition. Market chart type on the basis of competition. So these are the topics included in this chapter. So let's start with the market. First of all, we will know what is market. Here, what's market? What is your natural idea? Whenever we are talking about market, we have seen various types of commodities are presented. Different types of markets are there. Some are for shopping malls, some are mid-average type of shops, some are grocery shops, some for raw vegetables, fish, meat, etc. And there are also market for exclusive cars, market of gold, market of real estate, market of clothes, and these are for meat, fish, or other raw vegetables market. And all of these are called market. Okay, we have seen them. We are already talking them about market. And what's this picture? This picture is the representation of stock market, the capital market, share market, stock market. Okay, people invest their capitals or invest their money on stock of several organizations or companies, and when the share market or the stock market is healthy, it is rising, then we will call it bullish market. It is a strong market feature. And when the stock market is downward falling or there is several loss and it is not in a healthy state, then we will call it bearish. Okay, these represent bullish and bearish represent the stock market. So there are different pictures of market. So how will we define market? We know what is market, we know different types of market, we know different products market, different kinds of commodities are there. But what is a market? Okay, in economics, the concept of market is related to the demand, supply, and price of determination of goods. In economics, the concept of market is related to what? Demand, supply, and the price of the goods. And there are different types of market in Bangladesh. Changes are noticed when the thoughts and ideas of the buyers and sellers in the market changes, and because there are basic characteristics. When the thoughts of buyer and seller changes, the types of market or the condition of the market also changes. The connection between the buyer and the seller about the good is called market. So, whenever we are defining market, we are talking about demand, we are talking about supply and the price. But who will set this demand, supply and price? Obviously, the buyer and the seller. So the connection between the buyer and seller over the goods is called market. And in economics, market does not stand for just a specific place for buying and selling. Market is not a specific place, like a specific fixed place. Any space where the buyer or sellers is connected, they can create a market. It is not fixed on a place. Market is actually a process. Market is actually a process, depending on the buyer and seller. A process where goods and services are bought and sold. Goods and services are bought and sold between the buyers and the sellers in different ways. Goods are bought, services are bought or sold between the buyers and sellers. buying and selling online, buying and selling over the phone, over the fax, over the internet. And in these types of market, many types of goods can be bought and sold, or some specialized goods can be exchanged. Okay, for example, buying and selling cement over phone. You can call and order to the company. You know the brand, you know the price. You can just call and order them. Okay, so market is actually a process. A buyer is buying, a seller is selling. When the price is price is decided by both of them, and the quantity is also matched, and there you can make a transaction, a monetary transaction, or you can make an exchange. So this is a process. Market is a process, and the concept of market is explained in perspective of time limit, the terms of area, the nature of goods, and the basis of competition. Okay, so there are different markets, different types of markets, and this concept of market is explained in view of time limit, in view of area, in view of nature of goods, and on the basis of competition. And market can be different as per the type of the product. Market can be different as per the type of the product, like market of jute, market of paddy, market of labor, market for tea, gold market, share market, etc. Depending on their type of products. And depending on the time, there can be short-term markets, long-term markets, which are based on the duration of time. Depending on the price of the goods is decided through the bargain between the buyer and seller. We always bargain for the price. Whenever the seller is offering some product with his price, we try to bargain and make it a little bit less. So price is determined by the bargain between seller and the buyer. The buying and selling of the goods is dependent on the price. Once the price is decided on the buyer and seller, then they will sell the product or service when the price is decided. And the demand and supply forces decide on the price. The demand and supply forces to decide on the price, because if the demand is high and supply is low, then price will increase. But if the price is high, then the supplier will tend to supply more. Then at the point, the supplier and the customer will meet. The buyer and seller will meet at a point where the price is effective for each much of quantity. Okay, then there will be a transaction. So demand and supply always forces to set a price where the buyers and seller will agree to transact the product or service. Okay, so I've explained many concepts about market. If you just summarize them, you will get the characteristic of market. So far I have lectured about market system or market. Now I will make a point out of this lecture in the next slide, that is the characteristics of market.